Hey everybody, Tony D with another hot take. Oh, there's a lot of news today. Let's get into it real quick. First up, impeachment update. I believe it was the Ukrainian ambassador. His name is like Solidan or Sola something. Anyhow, he changed his testimony, said that there was a quid pro quo, according to NBC News. Take that with a grain of salt, but that may be their characterization of it. Anyhow, it doesn't really change much. I know a lot of you people with TDS are like, oh my God, a smoking gun, finally. No, it's not. Because again, impeachment is a political process. It's just about the votes. The laws almost don't matter. Yes, the Democrats could potentially shore up some of their votes with this information, maybe. Maybe. And it's still a big maybe. The problem with Washington, D.C. is, and politicians in general, is they're all so corrupt, they routinely break the law and ignore the rules or skirt the law. You know, they up until a few years ago, I forget when they changed this rule, but I was shocked to find out that it was perfectly legal for everyone in Congress to do insider trading based on the information they got in Congress. So, in other words, if they were changing the law about a particular, industry that would greatly impact stocks, it was perfectly legal for everybody in Congress to run to their stockbroker and say, buy this, buy that, or sell this and sell that. Perfectly legal for many, many years. Then they finally turned it around and they say, I don't even know if it's illegal, but it's definitely now unethical, which probably means that they can't do it, but now they just pass it on to their wives and children and let them do all the stock buying or whatever. I'm sure they got a way around it, and at least there's one more step, but still. The point is, people generally think members of Congress and politicians in general are so steeped in corruption that when you finally get one on something, it has to be pretty bad. So, the kind of stuff that forces these guys into retirement is like the kind of stuff Katie Hill got caught on. Sexual stuff or racism stuff. For, say, I don't know, that one congressman who said something really stupid. He was a Republican. He said something really stupid about white nationalists, and, he's done. His career's over. So, it has to be that extreme in order to actually sort of lose your job in Congress. This idea that, oh yeah, we have this way of doing things, and if you don't do it that way, it's illegal. Those are all technicalities that get ignored all the time in Washington, D.C. So the idea that the whole quid pro quo thing is going to nail Trump is foolish, especially because on this issue, the Democrats have zero credibility. Between the Mueller investigation and Joe Biden standing up and brazenly bragging about how he did the same exact thing, only much, much more, brazen. I mean, he basically outlines how he pressured the president of the Ukraine, or he wouldn't get his aid. I mean, he did it. There's no doubt about that he did it, and no one cared. No one cared. The only reason they care that Trump did it is because they're trying to nail Trump. So, again, it's all a political process. So if they can generate enough outrage by this testimony, then yeah, they'll shore up their votes. They'll get an impeachment, and then they're hoping maybe a couple of guys flop in the Senate and they actually get them to trial. That's not going to happen. So, again, the Democrats are destroying themselves. By doing all this, they're destroying themselves down the road. Because down the road, they're going to be known as the guys who tried to destroy Trump, the president who jump-started the economy and, at least did kept us out of wars, kept us out of major wars, tried to bring the troops home. I mean, do you really want to be the opposite of Trump in this area? This is the problem with the Democrats now. If they just acknowledge, hey, You know, he did a good job on the economy. Good job. We want to build on that. Hey, he's trying to get us out of the Middle East. We'd like to do that too. Maybe we could do it quicker. Maybe we could do it better. Here's how. Like, you build upon his, it's like improv. Yes, and. You don't say no to Trump. You say yes, and we're going to do it better. Because, we'll do it without being assholes about it. The problem is the Democrats have tacked the wrong way. They just reflexively tacked the opposite direction, and now look at where they're standing. They're against everything that Trump is for. And Trump is for some very reasonable things. Yes, Trump has said some outrageous things, but, and the other problem too is they keep making Trump the victim. Over and over again, they make Trump the victim. Trump's been saying witch hunt, witch hunt, witch hunt, witch hunt. And it's true. It's true. I mean, it is a witch hunt against him. Mueller, 2.5 years, nothing. If they hadn't done that and then did the Ukrainian thing, maybe they would have had a shot at it. If they hadn't started from like the time he was running against Hillary. But because they're just so obsessively going at him, they're very predictable in that way. And Trump has been playing them again and again and again. So, going into the election, he is going to be able to play the victim. And he's going to have so much material and so much money. And where is this impeachment going? Okay, you impeach Trump. Do you impeach him before the election? Okay, you impeach him before the election. What does that get you? Well, it gets you a riot because people wanted to vote for Trump, and now you've got half the country going bananas. So you can't really impeach him before the election. And that, this whole process is going to be up to the election. You're not going to get enough votes, so you have to do it before the election, because after the election, guess what? You won't have the votes. So you're going to have to do it before the election. And, you're just going to look like you're picking on the guy again and again and again. And he's delivered a good economy. The fact that the economy is good is a big boon to millions and millions of people. And the Democrats just don't see that anymore. They used to be the party of the blue-collar worker, the little guy. Where are they on this? They're not promising to continue any of these policies that have brought jobs to the United States. All they keep promising is stuff for other people. They're promising to open the borders for immigrants. They're promising free Medicare for these immigrants. That's very generous with other people's money. That's not your money. That's our money. It's everybody's money. You can't be generous with our money. You can be generous with your money. So no one wants to pay all these high taxes for other people. And that's just going to kill them in this election. It's just absolutely going to kill them and their party. The Democrats have been losing for a while because of this. States are turning red in the governorships. They're losing at a state level. They're going to be a marginalized party at this rate. We're talking about a party that's going to go from half the country to a quarter of the country. They're going to be, a secondary factor in the elections because they've taken this too far. So, and meanwhile, another thing that is kind of on the Democrats' doorstep, it's not totally on them, but it's somewhat on them. Because they are so closely associated with the media, Project Veritas is destroying mainstream media. First, they had the CNN expose. Just shows you how they're in the bag against Trump. Jeff Zucker hates him as a personal vendetta against Trump. He's basically telling the people at CNN every day, go after Trump, go after Trump, go after Trump. That's destroying CNN, and that's associated with the Democrats because they're so in bed with the media. Now, the big revelation is ABC News. This is another Project Veritas. They have a tape of an anchor on a live mic talking about how she had the Epstein story 3 years ago. And they've been sitting on the story for 3 years. She's mad, of course, because she had the scoop, and now she's been scooped by other people. I forget who came out first with the whole Epstein thing. And there's still information in her interviews. She interviewed a woman who had been hiding for 12 years, worried that Epstein and I guess his associates would come and kill her for what she knows. And there's still Epstein's little sidekick there, I forget her name, that's at large. So there's a lot at stake here. Bill Clinton's connected to Epstein in a much bigger way than Trump is. Trump at least gave a statement to the cops. He didn't like Epstein. It was clear. Bill Clinton rode on his plane a bunch of times. So it's not clear that Clinton, it's probable that the Clintons are just used Epstein for his free airplane. Because from what I've read about the Clintons, they're very cheap that way. They like to live on other people's money. So it's very possible that the Clintons were just, in their view, taking advantage of Epstein. Well, the reality is Epstein was constantly blackmailing people. Probably, I mean, there's a good chance he blackmailed Bill Clinton. Who knows? I mean, a guy's a player, you know. Epstein puts a hot girl in front of him, you know, implies that she's 20, she's really 16, and Bill Clinton's messing around with her. He gets that all on tape. Oof, he's got him. So this Epstein thing, and now ABC is being exposed as sitting on this story for 3 years. This is a big deal. And why did they sit on the story is the big question. Did they sit on the story because of the connection to Bill Clinton and therefore Hillary? It just looks bad. The optics on that look bad for the Democrats. So we have all these stories that just keep pouring in. And meanwhile, like, Trump has actually done some good with the economy. He's actually trying to get us out of some of these wars. He's talking like a peacenik sometimes. Oh, we got to get out of these endless wars. I never thought I'd hear a president say that. I would have loved to have heard Obama say that, because that guy could talk and he could sell that idea to a room, but he never did. I definitely didn't expect to hear it from George W. Bush. He was just nothing. But here you got a president who's saying, we got to get out of these endless wars. That's a powerful statement. And there's a lot of people in this country who agree with him. There's a lot of vets in this country who will vote for Trump. Not just because a lot of them are Republican, but because they see him as supporting the troops. If you really want to support the troops, you want to get them out of these places. That's truly supporting the troops. It's not wearing a ribbon. It's not going to a parade. It's voting to end these wars. It's voting people in who aren't going to send people overseas in one of these quagmires just so, some company can do business in a foreign country, or, somebody can play 4D chess in Washington, D.C. So, gosh, I mean, it just, every day there's another revelation. You could hardly keep up on it. And then meanwhile, Trump just keeps surging forward. Now he's talking about declaring war on the Mexican cartels. He wants to get permission from the Mexican government to declare war. I don't know how he would do this. I guess he would just go in and attack cartel strongholds and shoot people. I mean, I'm pretty sure we already did that anyway under the cover of darkness, with Black Hawk helicopters and the DEA and stuff, and we were doing all that stuff in secret. Now we're talking about actually declaring war on the cartels. That would be interesting. It would be interesting to see if it could pass a vote in Congress, if he actually could declare war on a non-state entity like the cartels. And what would that mean? Would that mean we would just go in there and kill them all? Would it mean we would capture some and drag them back to the United States for trial? Would we have a POW camp? It opens up a lot of interesting questions. And what would we do afterwards? Would we occupy Mexico and keep the peace? Or would we just hand it over to the Mexican government and say, here, now you make sure? I mean, it's a bit mind-blowing. I don't know if he's actually serious, but that's what's going on today. And man, I can barely keep track of it all. And that's my thoughts. Mind blown, as always. There's an old Chinese curse, may you live in interesting times. We are in interesting times. Damn it.